This video and all other videos on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. The content of this video and all other videos on this channel are the opinions of the creator only and do not constitute legal, trading, investment, or financial advice of any kind. Investing carries a high level of risk and the majority of retail clients lose money. Do not invest any capital unless you understand the risks and you are prepared to lose it all. Alright, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel. And today I've got loads of really cool stuff to show you. I'm super excited about this. So I don't want to give you any more introduction. I'm just going to hop straight into this. As a quick reminder, after I post today, I'm taking my wife away for a few days. So there'll be no video from me tomorrow. And Friday's video will be a little later than you guys are used to. Tomorrow, if you are missing the Camel Crew daily upload schedule, then by all means, there's over 1,000 videos on this channel. There's something for everyone. So by all means, go back, find something you haven't seen before, tuck in to one of my 1,000 odd videos that are on the channel. And if you find anything that we haven't covered in a while, feel free to write a comment on that video, let me know, and we could perhaps go back and reassess some of the videos or topics that we have covered previously. Okay, so kicking things off, today is FOMC. And it's a big day because so far CME is pricing in at 99.5% probability we're not going to be seeing any rate cuts. So this is pretty wild, okay? Normally once we start cutting, we don't stop. In fact, normally once we start cutting, we start to accelerate those cuts. I continue to make the case that if we see a pause, this is going to end up being a policy error from the Fed. So we'll find out, right? We'll find out. But the reason I say this is already, as a nod to the Camel Crew, if you know, you know, okay, inflation has started to decline again. The index has dropped 40 bips in 2 weeks, okay? The look at the hard right edge here, very similar to this. So again, if you know, you know, and if you don't know, we'll cover it on the weekend's deep dive, but pretty interesting times. And the reason, again, I say that is because if this is really a pause and inflation really has just started to resume disinflation, then pausing here is a policy error. Okay, it just is what it is. And the Fed can't really do anything because the bond yields have been spiking. But we'll just put this whole thing in the Wild Times to be Alive folder, and we'll continue to update on that as it plays out in real time. Now, the next thing I wanted to do is point at this, because I don't know about you guys, okay, but I have two, what I consider to be very important points to make on this. The first is, we're not going to waste this opportunity to drop one of my favorite facts here, which is that this word does not mean what you think it means. I have mentioned this once before on the channel, but this word is actually short for pusillanimous, which means showing a lack of courage or determination, timid, coward, okay? That's what this word actually means. It is short for pusillanimous. So why is it then that so much of the market out there at the moment is showing timidness and cowardness? Why is that when Bitcoin is sat right around all-time highs with a very bullish base build setup, getting ready perhaps to see it double out this weekly cycle low? Why is it that we are potentially staring down the barrel at a $180,000 Bitcoin price in just a few months' time? And the vibe out there is really off at the moment. Have you noticed this? Well, some of the reason may well be because this time is actually kind of different, right? It's different for a number of reasons. First of all, we had an all-time high pre-halving. Second of all, we've got ETFs driving a lot of the demand at the moment, amongst a couple of other things, okay? Every cycle has its nuances. Every cycle is slightly different each time around. Wholly speaking, it's not super different at this moment in time. But I think we've finally found the answer for why the vibe is off at the moment. As Ben points out here, okay, the reason the vibe is off, despite being right around 100K, getting ready for that double out of the weekly cycle low, is because using the Advanced Decline Index, the ADI, of the top 100 cryptos, we can observe it's been in a downtrend since 2021. Now, if we compare that to 2020, the ADI was going up the whole time. That's why this cycle feels different. Now, what does this tell us? Here's Bitcoin in blue from 2020 to 2021. Okay, as Bitcoin moved up, notice how the Advanced Decline Index of the top 100 cryptos was also in an uptrend. What this means is breadth in the altcoin market was widening into Bitcoin's rally. So Bitcoin was getting a rally, and here's the important part, all of these altcoins were doing well off the back of Bitcoin's success. But where we are today, and I think why the vibe is so salty, I think why people are so upset, is Bitcoin has been doing this whilst the entire time the top 100 cryptos are continuing to set new lows. I know some of them are done really well, don't get me wrong. I know some people think I just really enjoy bashing altcoins. That's really not what this is, okay? I've been saying the same thing for the entire cycle, that Bitcoin would smoke altcoins this cycle and that breadth would be thin. And that's exactly what we're observing for now. Now, does it mean that we couldn't see a massive reversal come out of here for the altcoins? No, of course it doesn't, right? That could certainly happen. Anything and everything is on the table all the time. But it feels a bit strange to me that we've got the Bitcoin chart looking as good as it looks, getting ready perhaps for something akin to this. And the vibe is so off. It speaks to, at least from my perspective, most people being in this. And I'm going to show you an interesting chart at the end about the crypto stocks because they are currently underperforming. In fact, let's hop into those now. miners, okay, the crypto stocks seem very underpriced relative to Bitcoin as well. So it's not just the altcoins that are lagging a little bit. Also, this current gap between the dark blue, which is Bitcoin, and the miners on average is the largest gap to date. Now notice, usually what happens is by the time they become in line with each other, the mining stocks vastly outperform for a short period of time. So perhaps what we've got is an enormous reversal about to be staged for the crypto-related equities, and that's exactly why we've been positioned there in the members section. But it's pretty interesting because I observe the vibe is off in most altcoin holders. I know some have done extremely well, but most haven't. That's the truth. And I also observe many of these crypto stock or crypto miner holders, the vibe is off as well. They're not enjoying the party as much as they were hoping, because I think most of them thought every single mining stock would have had performance like MicroStrategy by now. But the point I'm trying to make here is sit tight, because I do believe much brighter times are coming. And I can support this further by showing you that the buying pressure has returned strongly in Bitcoin. It sets us up to see continuation to the upside. And I'm still seeing a lot of infighting online as well. I see this a lot of time. Remember, there's no need to be tribal. There's no need to be us versus them, okay? At the end of the day, we're all against ourselves. That's really what this is. If you define your personality by the coin you hold, then you are devoid of character, right? You're here to make money. You're not here to join an army or a team or any of that. I'm seeing this all the time. People are like, oh yeah, XRP or this has got the most transaction and Bitcoin is dead. But the reality is, okay, there's a clear winner for a reason. There's a reason that Bitcoin remains the #1 crypto. There's a reason that Bitcoin is being adopted by institutions driven by central banks, as you're about to see in a minute. And anyone that tells you Bitcoin is not the superior asset or is too slow and can't do real transactions is either lying or is uneducated. There's a reason the hype around Bitcoin right now is so intense, when we now have senators of the United States talking about using the same strategy they use with gold, where they revalue gold's price higher and then use it to fix the debt problem. They're now talking about doing this exact same thing with Bitcoin. Have a listen to this.
So why Bitcoin would make sense as part of our strategic reserves is that we recognize other long-term stores of value and put them in strategic reserve. We have a gold strategic reserve. We have an oil strategic reserve. I think it is fitting that Bitcoin, now that is really digital gold, be included among our reserve assets. So I'm proposing in the Bitcoin Act that we purchase roughly 200,000 Bitcoin a year just by converting money we already have into Bitcoin and hold them for 20 years. If we did that with, say, 5% of all the Bitcoin that will ever exist, which is roughly 1 million Bitcoin, we could cut our debt in half in 20 years. And in the meantime, we would have an asset that's growing in value while our own dollar is decreasing in value. And thereby we could shore up the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. What that does is help us protect ourselves against inflation and protect the US dollar on the world stage.
So an absolutely wild time to be alive, okay? But it just keeps getting better for Bitcoiners here, because the head of the Czech central bank is now talking about buying billions of euros worth of Bitcoin, okay? The head of the Czech national bank wants to plow billions of euros worth of the country's reserves into Bitcoin, a groundbreaking move that could make it the first Western central bank known to hold Bitcoin. I mean, this is insane. Look at what we are looking at. No one seems remotely bullish enough to me. And again, with Bitcoin sat right around the prior all-time high, the vibe is just off for some reason, and it doesn't make any sense to me. Not to mention, remember those $1,200 stimulus checks that we saw just a few years ago? One of those $1,200 stimulus checks is now worth $18,000. I mean, that is pretty crazy, right? These are seriously wild times to be alive. Doing the basics correctly is really benefiting those people that are humble enough to do so. And look at the technical setup here. Okay, this is absolutely crazy. It looks just like 2017. And remember, if we're going to get that repeat, it puts us at an absurdly high valuation. This also, to me, looks exactly like Livermore's speculative chart with the accumulation funnel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then it goes parabolic. It just reminds me of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then off it goes, right? Similar deal here. And off it goes. So, I mean, happy days. Happy days. You can see this here with the whole banana zone rhetoric. I'm not sure what his fascination with bananas is, to be completely honest with you. But he does make a good point that we've come far enough in the cycle now that we should be about to experience the craziest part of all. So maybe all we need to do is sit back and let this thing play out. Of course, we'll still have to be mindful for early tops coming in, because as Tony the Bull points out here, Bitcoin has only ever printed 2 TD8 counts. One of them here and the other one before the last quarterly candle in 2017, which produced a perfect TD9 sell setup. So if this is going to repeat, it tells us there might be one more quarterly candle here, okay, with a 9 on top, and that will be the perfect TD9 sell signal. And of course, if that's to happen, that puts the top in sometime around the end of Q2. Perhaps even earlier than that. So we still have to be very, very mindful here that this may not be a completely standard and normal and to be expected cycle that tops Q4 of 2025 like everyone thinks it will. I hope it does, because it just makes our life a lot easier to deal with. However, we do have to be open to something akin to this. And so other than that, what else is there to say, right? We know that this Dixie is about to confirm that daily cycle low, so that makes a lot of sense, a little bit of couch trend bounce, and then we'll be looking for hopefully a rollover into a weekly cycle low. We'll see if we can get it. Start to print higher highs here though, and we have got a whole heap of trouble brewing. Given that inflation is coming down amongst some other things, this may well get a little bit complex in the short to medium term. Gold seems to be on its decline into a daily cycle low, as I was talking about yesterday. So 2 drives cycle low, and then we should be ready to go there. For the stock market, I think it's got a little bit more chop, and then there should be a tradable low here to buy. And then I think it might even be time to be setting third and final angles once more. We'll see. I'm not in any rush just yet, though. I still think this has a little bit more chopping about to do first. And last but not least, of course, we've got Bitcoin. So no real changes, right? Like I said, the vibe is off. People are not really appreciating what's happening in front of them. They're not really appreciating the fact that we're just a few percent, 5 or 6% from all-time highs at the moment. I still think the most likely outcome is to waste a bit more time into that daily cycle low, and then we can go. But remember, out of there is the path of maximum opportunity. Every time we saw one of these weekly cycle lows, we doubled off of the lows, right? We doubled off of the lows, we doubled off of the lows. So if we can do something akin to this, okay, and then double off the lows, that puts 180k on the table. So I don't think anyone should be complaining or upset about that kind of performance. Hopefully the vibes will return to the space in the not too distant future. I'm your boy Camel. Like I said, I won't be here tomorrow and I'll be late on Friday. So I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week. Please do feel free to go through the channel and see what you can dig up, see what you can find. I'll be interested to know in my absence. And other than that, I hope you're doing well in life. Until next time, take care. All the best. Cheers. Bye.
Camel Finance, he's the man to see. Rocking the markets with his contrarian spree. Trades like a pro, no fear, no shame. Sticking to his guns in his money game. He's a badass, oh yes indeed. Camel Finance got the markets key, taking us normies